Welcome to this Sunday's Gospel Reflection. It was way back in 1988 that I was in Thailand with JRS, Jesuit Refugee Service, helping out with Vietnamese and Cambodian refugees. I taught English, a simple class, to Vietnamese young people, mostly young, and ministered to Cambodian Catholics in an enormous camp, refugee camp, of tens of thousands of these poor people. Life was indeed hard. So many people living in crammed makeshift tents and cabins, thirsty for freedom to be settled in a safe country, far from their war and poverty torn countries of origin. And yet, it was a place where I experienced and encountered so much joy, so much goodness in these people who lacked everything but kept their beautiful smiles. Apart from the pains and distress, there was also so much goodness and love going around in that camp. And I benefited from that. I received it. One day I remember one of my young Vietnamese students, who had become quite a close friend of mine, was asking me about my country, Malta, my family, friends. And he listened so intently. At one point, he looked straight in my eyes and asked me, "But you live in such a beautiful country and have such a wonderful life with family and friends. Why did you leave all that to come here in all this pain and misery?" To say the truth, I was quite surprised by the question, and for a minute I did not know exactly what to answer. And then somehow, spontaneously, without much reflection, the answer came out as if by itself. "Well," I said, "I came here because you are here." The young man opened wide his bright eyes, pointed his index finger at my face, and said, "You are God." I was left speechless at this profession of faith and this amazing revelation of the inner core uh, of who I am deep down, the truth of who I really am. It was a humbling revelation, even more than about who I really am. It was a revelation of who God really is. That young man helped me make one enormous discovery. When all is said and done, truth is always a person. It's never just an abstract idea, a blind scientific fact, a calculated piece of logic. All these are often, and often not, pathways towards what life is all about. But in themselves, facts, happenings, realities may be marvelous, amazing, distressing, but they will remain dead. Dead facts, dead truth. If this reality, these facts, these happenings are not blessed with meaning and meaningfulness, and only persons who love and are loved can bestow meaning and meaningfulness to anything and to everything. This is not some high philosophical consideration, mind you. It is the day-to-day bread and butter of life. Today, in many countries, We celebrate Mother's Day. So, just to understand me better, ask any mother what a little child's garbled, perhaps soiled, hand drawn Mother's Day card means to her. Just ask that elderly Italian priest who recently, heroically, gave up his life when he offered the only life saving respirator available to the patient in the next bed because he was still young. Just ask a young couple joyfully pronouncing their marriage vows at the altar. Just ask any happy person. Meaning is what changes life. And from a dreary chore, it is transformed into a glorious journey. Meaning is what injects life into any reality, any situation, any object. Life has meaning when it is lived with and for someone else. All the rest is a pitiful lie. It is not about things, it is about persons. It is about people. Life is persons. This may help us to somehow understand the words of Jesus to his disciples when he told them, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. Have faith in God. Have faith also in me." No, faith is not just believing that there is a God. Just as much as a mother does not simply believe the fact that she has a son, a daughter, a child. Faith is loving her child. Faith is loving God, who is truly one with each and every person, with no distance or distinction whatsoever, through the person of Jesus, who gathered us all into one with his Father. Every man, every woman, whatever, whatever gender, whatever age, old or young, colored, discolored, this nation, that nation, all the diversity, you and me, we are God and God is us. He is the only source of all meaning in our life and existence, simply because our God is love. It's the classic distinction between existing and living. Existing is simply being there. Living is being there in a meaningful way. It means something for you to be there. A mountain is there, but it isn't aware of any meaning, why, and how it is there. But a mountain climber on top of a mountain, he experiences the meaning of being there. Show us the Father, they ask. How can I, replies Jesus, who sees me sees the Father? Since Jesus is one of us, we can boldly and humbly say with him, "Who sees me sees God." That's what my young Vietnamese friend revealed to me. This is neither fusion nor confusion between me and God. This is the miracle that only love can accomplish. Because being one with the one who loves you, you are more yourself. The more I am one with you, the more I can be myself. That happens only with someone who loves me. And that goes for Jesus, for the Father, for God, for each one of us, as well as for all of us together. That's why the only real, true God, the only real and true Father, can only be love itself. All the other powers, forces, comforts, whatever exists in the world that we may adore are all false gods. Thomas had always been the practical, logical guy, cautious yet open hearted. It was he who came up with the big question: Master, we do not know where you are going. How can we know the way? And the truth is indeed dazzling, with a brightness that lights up and gives meaning to our poor earthly veil of tears. But how can we get there? How can we know the way towards this dream? Or is it just an attractive illusion that there is somewhere which is not a veil of tears? How can we poor mortals get to that place which Jesus wants to prepare for us? The place where there are no pains, no tears, no conflicts, no death. When shall we realize that all this suffering remains the daily bread of our poor humanity? Simply because we still believe that this poor world is the only place we have. But there is another place. There is another home. But which way to reach this other home? Jesus sticks to his original reply. The only way to get there is me. How can you reach the safest and happiest place on earth, which is a loving heart, if not through the person who offers you that love? So Jesus said to Thomas and the disciples, I am the way, because I am the truth, and I am the meaning of life. I am life. And what Jesus says about himself, he is saying about you and me. Have you ever taken it seriously enough this call and mission to be the way as Jesus is the way, to be the truth as Jesus is the truth, and to be the life, the meaningful life of those you walk with in your daily life? Can you recall what it felt like when you have been the way for someone to embrace the truth of his life and let him therefore to his or her true and full life? Just take a moment to think of those for whom you have been the source of life and the way to a better place. That young Vietnamese lad escaping from misery and death revealed it to me in that squalid, hot, humid camp. His faith in God's love through my poverty transformed his hell into heaven. How can I ever doubt that heaven, the dwelling place of a loving God with his beloved children, is not real? Yes, God's greatest gift to us poor human beings is that he made us to be gods, not just like him, but with him. No price is too high to pay, no road too hard to walk, no mountain too steep to climb for each one of us to find his and or her own way, a unique way, but find the real place in God's own loving heart. Let us have faith, real faith, in the person of Jesus. Let him transform us in God's own image and likeness. If we only said a hesitant, weak, even fragile yes to him, he will look at us with shining and loving eyes and tell you and tell me, Amen, Amen, I say to you, whoever believes in me will do the works that I do, and will do greater ones than these, because I am going to the Father, doing a work that is greater than the work of Jesus. My little me, my stupid me, my weak me, that is who I am. Dear, dear Jesus, lead us to the heart of the Father, our real home, our real place. And a happy Mother's Day to all women who have accepted, in so many different ways, to be the place and source of meaning for so many of God's children. God bless you.